Hi everyone, my name is Latimer and I'm currently an occupational therapy student at Boston University completing my doctoral capstone project on yoga for Parkinson's disease. I'm very excited to get started with our class today, and I'm going to be going over some safety recommendations and our setup for the class. So first things first, before you start class today, make sure that it's an appropriate time of the day for you to exercise. So that means that you are well rested and you've taken your medication for the day to manage your symptoms. Be sure to listen to your body throughout class, and if you feel any pain or discomfort in any poses, please stop where you are and get out of the pose or try a different variation that I will show throughout the class. And if the pain continues, consult your doctor or physiotherapist for some other options. As far as our setup for class, you will need a yoga mat or just a soft, comfortable surface for you to practice on. Some of the class will be in a chair, some of the class will be on the floor. So you want it to be squishy and comfortable enough for your knees and your joints as you get down on the ground. You will need at least one chair for class today, preferably a chair without arms, but if you only have a chair with arms, that will work perfectly fine. You will want a water bottle with you, and I encourage practicing next to a wall, as you can see I will be doing. Throughout class, I'll be showing how we can use the wall for some of these exercises. If you don't have a wall that is available, I recommend a sturdy table or a second chair. And if you know that you don't want to get on the floor today, you'll want a second chair to do some of the postures seated using the other chair instead of getting on the floor. Some other equipment that you might use, props to help increase comfort in your practice, are yoga blocks. I have two. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a book or stack of books to bring the ground closer to you. You could use a water bottle like what I have, or even a second chair to use as a yoga block and bring the ground closer to you. I will also be using a strap throughout our class today. This is what my yoga strap looks like. If you don't have a strap, you can use a bathrobe tie, which is what I have here, or even a belt. And lastly, I have a blanket, a yoga blanket, but you can use any blanket for while we get on the floor, especially for our knees if you've had any past knee injuries. Be sure to modify physical postures as needed today, especially balancing postures. If you know that you're feeling a little bit off today, take things easy and do what feels right. I recommend practicing barefoot, but if you feel more comfortable, you can have non-slip socks or non-slip shoes on too. And lastly, if you have a mirror in front of you, that may be helpful for some visual feedback to make adjustments as needed, but it's not necessary for the class. Lastly, for safety, please make sure that there is another adult at your residence, and if you are alone, just make sure that there's somebody you could call and contact in case anything happens. And I even encourage you to have your loved ones join these classes with you to add in that social component and that social support for these virtual classes. Thank you so much, and let's get started. We're going to get started today in a comfortable seated position in our chair with our feet nice and flat on the floor. If your feet don't necessarily touch the floor, you can always bring that block or book and place it underneath your feet to bring the ground a little bit closer. We can sit up nice and tall, thinking about our posture here, lengthening up from the crown of the head, rolling the shoulders back and down, resting the arms at our sides or on our thighs, wherever comfortable. And once we're ready, we can either soften the gaze, looking down towards the floor, or even close the eyes. Taking a few deep breaths here. Not trying to change the breath at all, just noticing its natural rhythm, flowing in and out of the body. letting go of anything else we have to do today, our to-do lists, or what came before this. Just allowing ourselves to be fully present for this yoga class on our mats today. Giving our minds and bodies a chance to refresh. Our theme of class today is listening to our bodies. So before we get moving, to listen to our bodies, we need to do a body scan and notice how we are feeling right now in this moment. Starting with the head, noticing any tension we're holding on to in the face, in the space between the eyebrows, in the jaw, seeing where we can relax, relaxing the shoulders back and down, still sitting up nice and tall, drawing the belly button in towards the spine, sinking the hips into the chair, feeling the connection of the feet and the ground. Noticing any areas that may have some discomfort or tension, and seeing where we can let go. Beginning to move into our Ujjayi breath. For the Ujjayi breath, we take a big deep inhale in through the nose, and on our exhale, there's a slight constriction of the back of the throat, almost sounding like an ocean wave or like you're fogging up a mirror. So I'll demonstrate once for you to hear it. Big deep inhale in through the nose. Now doing it with me, inhaling in through the nose and exhaling out the nose. Hearing that ocean sound on the exhale, inhaling in through the nose and exhaling. Continuing with our own pace here. One more breath. Noticing the difference in the depth and the quality of the breath after a few rounds of our Ujjayi breath. And doing our best to come back to that breath throughout our class. Our goal is to connect our breath with our movement as we begin to exercise and move throughout class. And I'll be reminding us of incorporating our breath throughout. We can start to flutter the eyes open, and we're going to stay where we are. We're going to come into our chant, our Om chant, and we're going to do this at the beginning of every class. It's really important for people with Parkinson's to work on projecting their voice using their diaphragm and working on vocalizations, which is why this is incorporated. So the way that the Om chant sounds is it's broken up into 3 parts. Ah, which is in the belly. It creates a vibration in the belly. Oh, which is in the chest. Which is in the throat and mouth. What chanting does is it extends our exhale, similar to the Ujjayi breath we just practiced, which is really important for calming down our nervous system. And the chanting creates vibrations throughout different parts of the body, which increases energy. So chanting is calming for the nervous system and energizing at the same time. I'll be pointing where you should be feeling this in the body, and we're going to go through 5 full rounds of this chant. The 3 segments just flow together. So let's practice. Taking a big, deep inhale in through the nose. Inhale. Two more. You can close the eyes if you'd like. Big breath in. Returning to our natural breath here. Noticing the difference that you feel from before chanting and after chanting. Taking one full breath together as a class. Big inhale in through the nose. And open mouth, sigh it out. We'll start to flutter the eyes open if they aren't already. And we're going to start getting moving. You can move the block out of the way if you had one underneath your feet. And we're going to come to the edge of our seat, feet nice and flat on the ground. Sitting up nice and tall, drawing the belly button in towards the spine here. And with our inhale, we're going to reach both arms out and up, exaggerating where we can. The gaze lifts up. Big breath in. And exhaling, arms come all the way down. Opening up the hands nice and wide here. Inhaling, reaching out and up. The gaze lifts. And exhaling, reaching as far out of your midline as you can. Big wide hands. 2 more rounds. Breathing in. And breathing out. This time on our inhale, we're going to come to cactus arms or goalpost arms. The gaze lifts, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades back behind you. Big hands here. Breathing in And exhaling, rounding out through the upper spine, tucking in the chin, almost like we're hugging an imaginary friend here. Separating and inflating the upper back as much as we can. Breathing out. Inhale, cactus arms, opening up the chest. And exhaling, rounding out. Moving through these two at your own pace. Last round, wherever we're at. And then coming back to our neutral spine here. Starting to warm up the whole body, starting from the neck, working down. We're going to come into some neck rolls. I'll turn my chair towards you so you can see me a little bit better. We're going to start by dropping one ear towards our shoulder, allowing gravity to really do the work here. We're still thinking about our posture, sitting up nice and tall, drawing the belly button in, and slowly allowing the chin to come towards the chest in the center and rolling around to the other side. Moving between the two. Pausing anywhere that maybe is a little bit stickier, a little bit tighter. Maybe allowing some more time to stretch in those certain areas. And coming back to center here, we're going to inhale to shrug the shoulders up towards the ears as tight as we can. And exhaling, the shoulders come back and down, coming in through these circles, matching the breath with our movement. Switching directions of our circle. And coming back towards center. If you'd like to widen the stance a little bit for this one, we're going to come into some hip circles. Hands can come on the thighs, and we'll come all the way around, leading with the chest, going as far down as we'd like, making as big of circles as feels good, and really just starting to notice the hips here, noticing any tightness in the hips. And switching directions of this circle. Noticing how when you shift forward, the weight shifts into the feet. And coming back to center here. From here, we're going to move into some cat and cow, starting to warm up the spine. So on our inhale, hands are on the thighs, the chest lifts, the gaze lifts. And exhaling, tucking in the chin, rounding out, similar to our cactus arms. Inhaling, chest pulls up and forward. Exhaling, rounding out. Two more. And coming back to center here, starting to get some movement in the legs. We're gonna inhale, the right leg lifts forward, reaching out in front of us. We're squeezing the kneecap here, still thinking about our posture, flexing the toes towards the face. We'll go ahead and point the toes and flex and point and flex. And if it's difficult to keep your leg up like this, you can still bend the knee and work on pointing and flexing here. Starting to move into some ankle rolls where we're at flexing the kneecap if we have our legs straight here. Switching directions of our ankle rolls. And on our next exhale, right foot comes down, planting that right foot into the ground. Inhaling, left leg comes up this time, flexing the kneecap, sitting up nice and tall here, flexing the toes towards the face, and exhaling to point. Inhaling to flex, and exhaling to point. Moving between the two. This can be done with a bent knee as well. And starting to move into those ankle rolls. And switching directions. Noticing the breath here. Noticing where you're hanging on to tension that you might not need to be. Usually it's in the face or in the neck and shoulders. Relaxing that left foot down. Just shaking out the legs, shaking out the arms. Hands come onto the thighs, maybe closing the eyes just for one more moment. Letting the eyes open here. We're going to come into some nerve flossing next, which nerve flossing can help your median, radial, and ulnar nerve. And when done before certain exercises, it helps increase your range of motion and mobility in your upper body. So our first nerve flossing activity is going to look like you're serving a platter, sitting up nice and tall, elbows squeeze in, shoulder blades are back behind you, and you have two platters on your hands. Spreading the fingers here, the gaze is forward, nice and tall. Big breath in. And exhaling, arms go out to the side. Maybe you even flick the fingers towards the ground. And then bring them back up to neutral. Coming back to our serving platter, squeezing the shoulder blades back behind you. And exhaling, pressing out. Flexing the fingers towards the ground. And inhaling back to neutral. Squeezing the shoulder blades back behind us. We have our big platters. Big breath in. And exhaling straight out. Fingertips flip down. And back up to neutral. Inhaling for our platter. And exhaling, pressing out. Fingertips press down. And coming back up. Coming back to our platter here. We're going to bring our right hand down at our side. And you'll be able to find the spot. I have a feeling it's about 45 degrees away from the body, but it's different for everyone. And so with your right arm extending to the right diagonal, the gaze is going to go up towards the left corner of the room. And you'll notice a sensation from your right ear down towards your right bicep. This sensation should be about a 3 out of a 10 as far as intensity for the stretch. And breathing here, spreading our fingers, sitting up nice and tall. And coming back to center, shaking out that arm if you need. Left arm comes out, spreading the fingertips. The gaze starts looking up towards the right corner of the room to where you can find that spot. Maybe you can shift the arm up and down to be able to feel it. You should feel it from the left ear through that left bicep here. And breathing. And coming back to center here. Starting to move a little bit more. This is our last nerve flossing exercise. We're going to have the back of the hands facing us, flexing the fingers towards the face, inhaling, reaching both arms up towards the sky, the gaze lifts, and exhaling, we'll call them lobster claws. So fingers are flexed down, you're making these claws, and we're going to come all the way down as much as you'd like. Maybe you fold all the way forward. Inhaling, flipping the hands, back of the hands towards the face, reaching up. And exhaling, lobster claws, diving down. Last round, wherever we're at, breathing in. And diving all the way down, or as far down as comfortable, into our first forward fold for the class today. So if you feel unbalanced or not stable at all, you can always move your hips further back into the chair for some more stability. We want our chest to be resting on top of the thighs. This may help by having a block underneath the feet to have that connection between the chest and the thighs. The arms fall down wherever comfortable, and the head falls heavy here. Shaking the head no and nodding the head yes, helping release any tension in the neck here. And on our next inhale, we're going to come to a halfway lift. So if you have a block close to you, you can have both of them on either side or one in front, or you can just bring your hands to your knees. But for our halfway lift, we inhale, coming halfway up, extending through the spine, squeezing the shoulder blades together back behind us. We're reaching through the crown of our head here, out from the hips. And exhaling, folding all the way back down. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling, halfway lift, extending through the spine. And exhaling, folding down. Inhaling, we'll slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, stacking on top of each other until we come all the way back up to our comfortable seated position. And we're going to move into some exercises using our strap. You don't need a strap to do these exercises. I'll be showing a different video on the side if you do not have a strap, what your options will be. But if you have your strap or bathrobe belt or another type of belt, we're just going to double it up, and you want a nice wide grip here. And we're going to start by warming up the shoulders. So I call these kind of like circles, coming all the way around, lifting up, and coming back the other way. And this is really where yoga is beautiful, because this may look different for everybody. And it really is just about doing what feels good, what feels right, with no judgment towards ourselves. Only compassion. You can always adjust your grip here. You can make it wider if you need to be, if your shoulders are a little bit tighter, or you can always shorten your grip. Switching directions of the circle we're going. Coming back towards center, adjusting your grip if you need. We're going to inhale, reaching both arms up, pulling the strap away from your midline, feeling the arms start to activate, and exhaling, coming back down. Inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling down. Sticking with this, or if you'd like to add on, inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling, coming to those cactus arms. The strap comes behind our head. Inhaling, lifting up, and exhaling, relaxing down. 2 more rounds. Inhaling up, and exhaling down, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Shaking out the arms if we need to. I'm going to turn so you can see me a little bit better. We're going to come into some side stretches, our crescent moon. I'm going to do it with the strap, but you don't need to be using a strap. I'll show the other variation to my side if you don't have one with you. Inhaling, reaching both arms up. We can bring our grip a little bit closer here. And exhaling over towards the left. We're drawing the belly button in towards the spine, sinking the right hip down into the chair as much as we can. And we're focusing on lifting the chest up. I want to focus on lifting up more than reaching over. Breathing here. Inhaling to center. And exhaling over towards the other side. Inhaling back through center. Exhaling to the other side, drawing the belly button in towards the spine, opening up the heart, opening up the chest, the gaze lifts maybe. Inhaling back to center, and exhaling towards the other side, sinking that left hip down, lifting through the chest. Inhaling back to center. And this time on our exhale, we're going to come to a twist, bringing the arms over towards the left. Maybe the gaze is over the left shoulder here. Inhaling back to center, sitting up nice and tall. And exhaling, twisting over towards the right. Inhaling, lifting up. And exhaling to twist. Staying nice and active here, thinking of our posture, drawing the belly button in towards the spine. One more round at your own pace. And releasing the strap down. Once you're ready, shaking out the arms. We can put the strap to the edge of our mat here. And we're going to start moving into some core exercises. So coming to the edge of our mat, feet are nice and flat on the floor. Sitting up nice and tall, noticing how our upper body is feeling. We're going to start working into that lower body here in a moment. So while we're on the edge of our seat here, our feet are nice and flat. We're going to come into a simple core exercise that really targets the deep abdominal muscles. And so while we're here, you can have your arms on the chair while you go back. Our seat stays on the edge of the chair, and I want us to bring our chest all the way back so that we're resting on the backrest here. And we can do this just to have an idea of what it will feel like. Without using your hands, I want you to try and sit up. So whatever it looks like, we're just going to try and sit up, nice and tall from where we were. So coming back, what most likely happened is we use our shoulders, we round our shoulders and almost throw them forward and use that momentum to bring ourselves up. Instead, while we're back on our chair, I want us to keep our belly button drawn in and think about lifting with your chest. A good way to think about it is like there is a rope coming out from the center of your chest and somebody is pulling up from the center of the chest. So you can start with using the hands on the edge of the chair if you'd like first, or you can have the hands on the thighs. This time we take a big breath in, and on our exhale, lifting with the chest, the trunk moves as one unit up to a seated position. So just scooting back and forth, you maybe notice that the feet lift, which is perfectly fine. On the exhale, lifting up, drawing the belly button in, noticing the muscles in your core that you have to use to do this motion and what it feels like. Leading with the chest. And so coming back into our chair, we're going to start marching and using our legs. You can be back relaxing on the back of the chair, or you could be hovering just in front of it if you really want to work more of your core, but really focus on, it's easy to round out, so focus on lifting through the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and maybe this is more comfortable in a neutral spine to start, and we can work our way up to leaning back and engaging the core. But with that in mind, the core stability in mind, drawing the belly button in, we're going to begin to march. So feet are flexed, marching one leg and then the other. You can do this sitting up nice and tall, or maybe leaning back a little, engaging the core. And so what's really important here as we get marching is when we're using our core this way, if you are leaning back with me, and as we're marching, we are really using our psoas muscle. It's the longest muscle in the body, and it's the only muscle that connects our upper body to our lower body. That's its sole purpose. And you can really feel it. It's right in front of the hips here if you're leaning back with me. Each time you march, think about what is tightening and contracting. That is your psoas muscle. And so what has been helpful with Parkinson's in the research is when you are in tune with your body and knowing what these motions feel like, it can help with freezing of gait, because instead of thinking I'm marching my legs or I'm taking a step, another way you can think about it is I'm contracting this muscle. We're definitely feeling it now. We've been marching for a bit. And so that can be helpful in your day-to-day, thinking about how your body feels, what muscles you're using, and even imagining what it feels like before you go to do something. We're going to move this into a bit of a flow. If you'd like to continue marching, that's perfectly fine. Lifting through the chest, keeping our posture here. We're going to inhale the right knee up and exhaling, kicking it straight out. Inhaling to bend and exhaling, resting it down. Left leg, inhaling up, exhaling to extend, inhaling up, and exhaling to release down. Continuing with your own pace. Integrating that Ujjayi breath. Maybe playing around with the core here, seeing how light we can be on that back rest. One more round each side. And coming back to the edge of our seat, feet are nice and grounded, rolling the shoulders back, maybe closing the eyes, just taking a deep breath here, noticing how we're feeling. From here, we're going to move into our chair and standing poses. We won't be standing for very long today, and then we're going to get on the floor. If you don't plan on getting on the floor, you can still practice the same things in your chair, and I'll show you that option. So feet are hips distance apart. You can have your hands on the edge of your seat or on the arms if you have them. And we're going to start to shift the weight forward, bringing the chest over the knees and ankles, maybe so much so that your seat can lift up and off of the chair. What usually tends to happen in this chair pose is we arch our lower back. So I want us to think about drawing the belly button in towards the spine, to have that nice neutral back here. And then we're just going to come right back down, only a few inches off of the chair. Inhaling, shifting forward, and exhaling, sending the weight back. If you'd like to come all the way up to stand, powerfully pressing through the feet, lifting up, squeezing the kneecaps when you're up to stand, and exhaling, slowly sinking back, drawing the belly button in. You can almost fight gravity on the way down. That will help with eccentric strengthening. Inhaling, shifting the weight forward, maybe just an inch. Maybe we're coming all the way up. Using the wall to your side as support if needed. And coming back down. Keep moving at your own pace. As you shift forward, we want to be pressing down and grounding down through the four corners of your feet. The four corners are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it doesn't include your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners of your foot. So really think about planting in and rooting those four corners of both feet down. Last time, inhaling, shifting the weight forward, drawing the belly button in, coming all the way to stand. And we're going to make our way behind our chair. So taking our time here, we are behind our chair. We have a wall next to us or a sturdy table as well for support as needed for our balancing posture. Feet are hips distance apart. Hands are on our chair. We're rolling our shoulders back and down. And we are in Tadasana, mountain pose. Tadasana can be a great pose to also do against the wall if we're thinking about posture. When you do your back up against the wall, it really helps the rounded posture because you're thinking about squeezing your shoulders back so that they are touching the wall. Hands can be at the sides if you're against a wall, or if you want to just have one hand holding on to the chair, you can have both hands hanging onto the chair. Hands can come at our sides, or to Anjali Mudra, which is in a prayer position. When we're in the prayer position, we're relaxing our shoulders back and down, pressing the palms into each other, elbows out wide. Tadasana, mountain pose. Taking a few breaths here. Whichever variation we're in, thinking about stacking the feet, the knees, the hips, drawing the belly button in, stacking the shoulders and head. We're lengthening up through the crown of the head, shoulders back and down. 2 more breaths. Bringing the hands back onto the chair. We're going to start to weight shift here. So starting to shift the weight into the toes. Maybe you come all the way up onto the toes if you'd like to do some toe raises. And shifting the weight back into the heels, maybe lifting the toes if you'd like. And just shifting forward and back. Maybe you're coming all the way up, then lifting the toes, or maybe you're just rocking back and forth and noticing the difference as you weight shift. And coming back to neutral here, we're going to start shifting side to side. So shifting all the way into the left foot, and then shifting all the way into the right. Just going between the two, noticing those four corners of your feet. Noticing what happens to the rest of the body as you shift to one side. And where can we still lengthen and lift as we're shifting our weight? You can stay here. If it's helpful, you can point the opposite foot. Shifting to the left, you can point the right foot. So this is what it looks like. You have your chair in front of you. You're shifting. You can point. 2 more rounds wherever you're at. And coming back to neutral here. Finding our mountain pose one last time. Shoulders back and down. Belly button draws in. We're lifting the kneecaps. Squeezing the glutes, feeling strong here. And we're going to be making our way down onto our mat here. So taking our time, you'll want your blanket close by. And if you know you're not going to make it down on the mat, you'll want to grab your other chair and have it in front of you like so. And you'll do your options from there. So while we are on our stomachs, you can always have your blanket underneath your chest if you are a little bit tighter in your neck and upper back, or you can always be seated while doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring our elbows by our chest, palms on the ground, spreading all 10 fingers. We're going to inhale, lifting the gaze here, squeezing the shoulder blades back behind us, pressing in through the tops of the feet here for our Sphinx pose. So this is a really great postural strengthening exercise. We're squeezing our shoulder blades back together behind us, strengthening those upper back muscles. One more big breath in here, lifting up. And exhaling, releasing down. Forearms come in front and forehead rests on them as a pillow. Coming back into our Sphinx pose, elbows at our sides, fingers are spread. Big inhale in, the gaze lifts, opening up the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades. And you can almost create this tension by pulling back on the forearms. They may not be moving, but you're pulling the forearms back towards the toes to pull the chest through the shoulders here. And exhaling, releasing down. Forearms come down, forehead rests on them as a pillow. Last time. Elbows come at the sides, spreading all 10 fingers. Taking a big exhale together here. And inhaling, lifting the gaze, lifting the heart, pressing in through the tops of the feet, pulling the chest through. And exhaling, coming back down, bringing the hands to the sides of the chest, pressing ourselves back to swing our legs around and make our way all the way onto our backs. Taking our time. We can always roll up the blanket and put it underneath the neck. And all of these poses on our back can also be done in a chair. So wherever we're at, we're going to bring the soles of our feet onto the mat. We're coming into our bridge pose. Arms are at our sides, palms down. Taking a big deep breath in. And exhaling, pressing through the soles of the feet and the arms, lifting the hips here. We're squeezing the glutes together. Engaging the legs, grounding through all four corners of the feet, pressing into the arms. And exhaling, hips come down. Inhaling, pressing in through the feet, hips lift up, squeezing the glutes, pulling the heels towards the chest to activate the back of the legs, the hamstrings. And exhaling back down. One more if you'd like. You can even bring your block and place it in between the thighs to help squeeze from the outer hips and squeeze from the outside in. Big breath in. And exhaling, pressing in through the hands and the feet, lifting up the hips, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the block if you have it. And exhaling, hips come back down. You can move the block if you have it. Walking the hips or the feet out wider as wide as the mat. We'll drop the knees over towards the right here. And then just start to windshield wipe the knees from right to left. Next time the knees fall over towards the right, we'll bring the arms out to a T. The gaze is over the left shoulder. Coming back to the breath here in this simple twist. Inhaling, coming back through center. And knees drop over to the left this time. Gaze is over the right shoulder. Coming back through center here. Arms can be at our sides or wherever comfortable. We're going to come into a figure 4 hip stretch. So we're going to bring the right ankle to rest on top of the left knee. The right knee goes out to the side. We're flexing that right foot here. And this can be done in a chair as well. If our hips are a little bit more open, we can stay here. Otherwise, we can reach through that keyhole and grab underneath the left thigh, flexing both feet here, feeling it in that outer right hip. Breathing here. Releasing that leg. Right foot comes down, left ankle comes on top of the knee this time. And maybe noticing how one side is different than the other. Maybe one side is a little bit tighter, or one side is maybe even more open. And honoring that, coming back to the theme of this class, listening to our bodies, being gentle with our bodies, and knowing when you're pushing yourself too far and when to pull back. If you're here with me on the left side and our hips are more open, you can reach through and grab underneath the thigh for a deeper stretch, flexing both feet. And exhaling, releasing that right leg. Legs come out long, arms fall wherever comfortable. You can bring the blanket underneath the knees, under the neck, or even on top of the hips for some more grounding. So now we're going to come into our facial expressions here. It's really important for people with Parkinson's to work on their facial expressions as exaggerated as possible to help combat the masked facial expressions that people with Parkinson's typically experience. We may be incorporating this in future classes throughout our exercises, but for now it's right before our final relaxation pose. We're going to start with a big smile, as big as we can, squinting the eyes, squeezing the apples of our cheeks, showing as much teeth as possible. Big breath in. And exhaling, we're going to scrunch the face up, frowning the eyebrows, squinting the eyes, scrunching up the nose, pursing the lips like you're kissing someone. Exhaling out. Now on our inhale, we're surprised. Eyebrows lift up, mouth opens as wide as we can, big eyes. Ah. Big deep breath in. And exhaling, scrunching everything up again, frowning the eyebrows, scrunching up the nose, pursing the lips. Inhaling, big smile. And then relaxing the face here, allowing all the tension to begin to release from the body. Coming into our final relaxation or Shavasana pose. Legs are out wide, arms are a couple feet away from the body. Again, you can have the blanket rolled underneath the neck and head, underneath the knees, or maybe over the hips. Beginning to allow the eyes to fall closed here. Coming back to the breath. Soaking up the benefits of our practice. Beginning to feel a wave of relaxation from head to toe throughout the entire body. Noticing where we're carrying tension in the face, in the eyebrows, in the jaw and the mouth, the shoulders and neck, the hands and hips, all the way down through the toes. And just seeing where we can release and fully relax here. Coming back to the breath, lengthening the exhale. Noticing where our thoughts are maybe wandering off. Not assigning any emotion or opinion or judgment on these thoughts, but instead just letting them float by, almost like a cloud. The thought enters the mind and it just floats by and exits the mind. As you keep bringing your attention back to the breath, Noticing the weight of the body. The sounds you may hear. Maybe the smell, the temperature of the room. And just being fully aware of our body here. Beginning to bring some awareness back into the body by wiggling the toes and wiggling the fingers, maybe rocking the head side to side, massaging the back of the head. We'll go ahead and bend both knees, reach one arm up overhead, and we'll roll over to whatever side that was, using that arm as a pillow, coming into like a fetal position, bending the knees. And using the top arm, we'll go ahead and press ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Just taking a moment to honor our bodies for all it allowed us to do throughout this yoga practice. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste.